healing for your home, the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant. Hey, why don't you turn that down a little bit so people can actually hear us while we're doing our podcast today. The thing that I really love about Heather is we literally had already hit record on the video camera. We were over here about to hit record, and she goes, "Wait, what are we talking about today?"
Yep.
So you'll know.
And he said, just follow my lead.
You'll know when she knows.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
Hey, so thankful you guys are with us. I don't know if I said this already. I'm Rusty. She's Heather. I know we get new listeners every week, and so welcome to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. We're glad you're here. We love talking about marriage. We love giving marriage advice. We love sharing our story about how God was faithful throughout even the worst days of our marriage. And here we are 15 years later, 30 years total married now, and 15 years after Heather's confession of infidelity.
You
and
had to say almost 15 years, and now it's 15 years. We've been married 30 years.
Yep. Almost 15 years since confession.
And that's,
We're really close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what we're actually going to do. I think we mentioned this last week. So now you're going to get to discover what we're actually going to do on our podcast today. But the last week we mentioned that, it's the month of August, which, for us is a big deal because it does stir up some emotions and memories and thoughts from 15 years ago. But we didn't want to just retell our story because people can go back and they can watch that and they can listen to it. They can watch our video that's on YouTube that Windshape did. So our story's out there. You've got plenty of opportunities to hear that. And we always weave our story into our podcast episodes anyway in different ways. But we were finishing up our book over the last couple of weeks. And when we wrote the final 3 chapters, some questions kind of came to the surface that we discussed while we were on a long road trip, a long drive. And those questions were some questions that I don't know that we've ever really answered. And so we started answering them in the car, and we made a joke, and we said we should hit record, and we should have recorded a podcast because we're talking about stuff. And so what I think I would like to do over the next few weeks, because it is kind of leading up to that anniversary, and it just will make us think a little bit about that time of our life. And so thinking back on our story, I think what I want to do is this little mini. And it's not a series. I just don't like series. So it's not that. These are just topics that are coming out from that discussion. Mm-hmm. And what I want it to be is sort of like going deeper, like a little bit deeper of questions, not these surface level questions. It's some of the deeper questions that, that came to the surface and we started talking about them. And so today I'm going to ask you a question because but we've sort of already answered it together when we were talking about it. But basically the question is, if we had not gone through what we walked through, if we had not had, if you had not had an affair and we had not gone through infidelity, what would our marriage, what do you think our marriage would look like today?
Yeah. I remember when you asked me that in the car, and I was like, dang. And and honestly, before you asked me about it in the car, that was a couple of weeks ago, I guess.
2 weeks ago.
I had not thought about that.
Isn't that weird?
At all.
I mean, isn't that weird? That's why I thought, man, there were some questions that just sort of came to the surface while we were writing those last 3 chapters. And I just thought, man, it's crazy that some of these we've never really talked about or thought about.
Visited. Yeah.
And that was one of them.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, I don't know. And so I had to think for a little bit on, I think it took me processing through how our marriage is different now than I think it would have been if I had not, I hate saying if I had not had an affair, but if we had not walked through that marriage crisis.
it's hard because we're just playing hypotheticals.
Sure.
So instead, I think that this is just a way for us to look back and go, ooh, where was our marriage headed?
Right.
And how the detour
Yeah.
and what that caused, So
Yeah.
it's more of just looking back and going, man, we were headed in this direction. So
Right.
so that's kind of
Yeah.
I know it's hard to answer the
No,
question
well,
because it's hypothetical.
it's really, I mean, like, I know it is hypothetical, but I am 100% sure that if we had not had this detour, I mean, like, we just took our youngest Logan back to college for his junior year, and we're empty nesters, and I can't imagine the empty nester. Empty
Words?
nestering? What's the
what?
what's the
That's like,
word?
oh man, I don't know. This is so off topic, but I just have to say this. I have a friend, a really good friend. He's from England, and his mom is a midwife.
Midwifery.
That's it. It is. That's what it's called. It's called midwifery. And I'm like, what? That is not even a word. That's a British word. That's not even a word.
Well,
He was like, yeah, she's in midwifery. I'm like, what? So anyway, back
So
to
I just taught you a new word.
what was
I
it?
don't know. I was just going to say, what did I say?
Okay. Let me. Okay.
Hypothetically,
Well, let's rewind for a
Whatever.
second. Do you think we would still be married?
I do. I think we would be married because I think that we had such a strong commitment and I say commitment, such a strong belief in divorce not being an option.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we would be happily married. I think that we would be married out of obligation and that we would just be roommates. 100%. I believe that because I think that I would have kept pushing you away and we would have not gone deep. I think we would have co-parented well. We would have, been there for the boys and done all the things, but I don't think we would be absolutely loving life and marriage with each other like we do now. And so I do. I think that we would have been married because we just don't believe in divorce and it wouldn't have been an option. But I don't think we would have been happily married.
And I agree. I mean, I honestly, I don't think there's any question. I think that we would still be married.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also think that we just grew up knowing and believing that divorce was not an option. Although there were times in heated arguments pre-affair
Mm-hmm.
that there was, I don't know. Do you think you ever used the word divorce in
Yeah,
our
I mean,
arguments?
I think I said probably a few times, maybe we should just get a divorce,
Yeah.
but not often. I mean, it's not like I threatened that or,
Yeah.
but I think I probably said it a time or two.
Well, a lot of people out there definitely use that
Sure.
in their arguments.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the camera right now. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't even say the D word.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do think that we just felt like that wasn't an option, that once you got
Mm-hmm.
married, you stayed married. But I also think that we believed that an affair wasn't an option.
Sure.
Like it wasn't, it
it wasn't going to happen to us.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so would we still be married? Absolutely, we would still be married. But I think I agree with you. I'm not sure how happy we would be.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that we could have somehow righted the ship.
Yeah.
But here's where I think the whole thing turned is we thought everything was good. I mean, I thought everything was fine. I thought we had a great marriage, or at least a good marriage. I didn't, we had our, issues and arguments and things, and there were things that we struggled with, but none of it ever led me down a path of thinking, well, one of us is going to have an affair. or one of us is going to get out of this marriage because it's not working.
Yeah.
Like it was never that. And so I think that that's important for our listeners to hear, because there are people that are out there that just, it's like, oh, well, things were going bad anyway. And, then that happened. Okay, well, you can see why it happened. But it just wasn't like that for us.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, that obviously is what, like I said, caused the detour and caused everything to change. And so if we were just continuing on today, where I think we would be is we would be really lost as far as empty nesters.
Yeah.
I think that, honestly, I think we would have been sort of fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'm using quotes, sort of fine. I think we would have been fine until the kids left.
Yeah.
Because our world was wrapped up in them in a lot of ways. Now,
And it was the common thing we had together.
Yeah. And I mean, we did a good job because of what happened 15 years ago. I think that even our parenting was very, very different. But I do think that we would have been good co-parents and done our thing and supported our kids. But man, I can't imagine, 2 years ago, Luke was gone and then Logan leaving. Man, it would have been just like, whoa, it's just us. And I'm not sure I like you.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I want to do this anymore.
It would have been really hard. But I think what happened is when the affair happened, it uncovered lots of things about our marriage that all of a sudden we said, this is not good and this is not healthy and these things are not good. So to you, what are the things that it uncovered that made us go, this has got to change? And if it hadn't changed, then here we are 15 years ago, and we would not be where we are because of that.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is I didn't try very hard. I didn't serve you very well at all. And I think that you have always done a really good job of that. And so I think that me becoming unselfish was a big part of our change, of me kind of putting you first, or putting you above me in our marriage and my desires and my wants, and trying to, just make sure that I was doing my part, serving you well. And by number one, you know what I mean, like not above my relationship with the Lord, but just not having my eyes on me as much as I do having my eyes on you and what I can do to help you and to serve you more. I think that's just the first thing that comes to mind. I also really, really believe that now we have even such a better friendship. Like you're my person, and I enjoy being with you and we have fun together. And I don't think that we did back then.
There were moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I don't mean to.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But I had lots of other relationships that were equally important, or that I put more
important
more into, like more. I gave more energy to them. So I kind of gave you the leftovers, I think, like relationship wise. I don't know how to say this one exactly, and you can help me, but I think the way that we were honest with each other afterwards and our communication became so much better, even with our kids, like the openness that we now have and we're kind of forced to have. There's just absolutely nothing our kids can't talk to us about. And I feel like before this happened, that could not have been true. And so, and even us, the two of us, we talk about everything. And I just don't think that was the case 15 years ago. So I don't know if that's, you can add on to those.
Yeah, I will, because the one that you just said, I'll start there and then go backwards.
Okay.
But the one you just said was, I think it was a product of us growing up in a culture that we all wore masks. And some of that was the time that we lived in, but some of it was also the community that we lived in, our surroundings, you know, our school, our church, everything. It was just sort of that, you know, put your mask on and pretend like you got it all together and everything's great, and don't talk about it. And when you screw up, hopefully nobody knows, and then move on like it didn't happen. And I think that was very much a part of who we were and our culture. And so once that happened, I mean, it was like we were just exposed. Like for lack of better terms, we were naked in front of the world to see, and because our story was so public. And so because of that, it caused us to be able to feel a freedom to be, you know, take the mask off with each other, first of all.
Sure.
And then really make this really hard stance of, we're going to live like this even in front of our children.
Right.
And we're going to be open to them, and we want them to be open to us. And then, you know, I think it even bled over into just the rest of our world, to where we had a real desire to be around people that weren't fake anymore. And no matter how messed up they were, it was like, welcome to the club. You know, come be a part of our club, because we're messed up too. So I think that was definitely something that changed. And it obviously has, you know, I feel like we dated for almost 7 years. We were high school sweethearts, then we dated all through college. But yet, I don't know, it's this weird 15 years into marriage, and it's like, did we really know each other? I just feel like there were so many hidden things, you know, inside that we just never felt like we could share with each other.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's important to say, like, it wasn't like I was living a life of sin for the first 15 years.
Right.
So it's not that, oh my gosh, my sin caused our first 15 years to be bad. And I don't mean they were bad. They weren't as good as they are now, but they weren't bad.
A lot of it was just immaturity.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
I was 22, you were 21,
absolutely.
we got married, we were trying to figure life out.
Absolutely.
Were you know, you said you were selfish. Yeah, you were selfish. Most 21-year-olds are selfish.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so
yeah, but I'm just saying, as we got to that, you know, because it didn't, I got caught in August of 2011, and really, you know, I can go back and pinpoint things into early 2011 where I started slipping, you know, but I mean, we had already been married 14 years at that point. And so there were some sweet, sweet times that, you know, I don't want to ever give the picture that the first 15 years were all bad, but I think that how we treated each other and how our, you know, like you just said, having on a mask and not being fully known by each other, all of those things compounded in those first 15 years. And so, yes, year 15 was rough and hard, and this is where this 3-month affair happened. But I just think that all of those first, 14 years, they weren't bad, but they didn't secure our marriage in a place where it wouldn't have happened.
Can I put something into words that
Yes.
I've never said like this before,
Yes.
but maybe it'll help somebody out there, because I know that people get hung up a lot in exactly what you're talking about. It's like however long you were married, and then the betrayal happened, and it's really hard to get those years back before that. It's
Or
hard
to believe them.
It's hard to justify it. And I think where people get stuck, and where I look back even and I go, the thing that's so hard is that for 15 years, I was living with somebody that and was married to somebody, and I chose to marry you, and I said my vows to you, and you said your vows to me. And for 15 years, I was married to someone that I did not think was capable of doing what you did. But the reality is, I was married to someone who was capable of doing what you did.
Right.
And so that's why it's hard for me to go back there sometimes. And when you go, yeah, but those first 14 years were really good, and I didn't start, taking these small steps and these compromises until closer to our 15. But then I go, yeah, but I was living with somebody that was capable of that. Mm-hmm. And so somebody may be going, yeah, but you're still living with somebody that's capable mm-hmm. of that. But I don't know how to say this except to say, yes, I know that you're capable of that because you did it, but I don't think that you're capable of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how else to say that. Well, and I don't know how to justify that with words.
Yeah.
But that's why those first 15 years, sometimes something stirs up in me because it just feels like, yeah, you were only living in that sin for this amount of time, but you were a person that was capable of that. And I didn't believe that about you. And that's so hard.
I know the point that you are trying to make. And I actually really agree with the point you're trying to make. And I appreciate what you're saying about me now. But I'm going to disagree just a little bit because I think we're all capable.
We are. And that's why I said you are capable of that.
Sure. But you don't think I am capable of that. I understand. I do. I just don't want anybody to hear, oh, I'm not capable. We're all
absolutely
this far away.
Well, we teach that all the time. That's why I said I can't really put that into words. And I think that part of the reason why I can't put that into words is because it's more of a trust thing.
Sure.
And if you go back to 15 years ago and you were to say to me, well, did you trust me for the first 14 years? And I would say, well, yeah, I guess I did. But if I had known that you were capable of that, I'd be like, no, I don't trust you.
I understand. I do understand what you're saying.
But now, and I mean, I told our youngest son this yesterday when we were driving in the car. I told him that I trust you more than anybody I trust in the entire world now. And so wrapping our heads around that and now being in a place where I say, yeah, I trust you more than anything. Right. So I trust that you're not capable
I understand.
of that. But we are all capable of that.
Right. I completely understand what you're saying.
And if you did it again, I would kill you. Sorry.
You heard it here, folks.
That was really ugly.
That was very ugly.
No, it was a little comedy relief in the midst of some really deep stuff there.
Okay, so I have a question for you. How do you think you asked me the same question. I want to ask you the same thing. Like, what do you see that is different now than it was before? And you've already answered you think we would still be married, but what do you think it would look like?
Well, no, I said what it would look like is we just wouldn't enjoy each other.
Sure.
We would not be enjoying this stage of our lives, and we wouldn't have any fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we would be miserable trying to figure out how are we going to live
to coexist
the second half of our marriage, our married lives. How are we going to live without the children being the glue that holds it together?
And the joy.
Yeah. And, and I was sitting with somebody today that was dropping off their child at college. And I mean, our family is so close, but and leaving them and dropping them off is sad, and there's a part of us that's missing, but there's also the part of this is normal for us now, and it's not normal in a bad way. It's just this is who we are. We've raised our children to a place where we can now, push them out of the nest or whatever you want to say, and they are doing incredibly well and doing incredible things, and then we get to come home and be together, and it's not scary. I mean, it's just it's a comfortable normalcy, and so that's a big thing. I'm gonna go back all the way up to where you said that about your selfishness, and you said that you're not selfish like that anymore, and you said you've always been unselfish, but I think that I also was doing that from a place of insecurity almost, where I wanted my identity to be seen in how great I was as a husband and as a father. And it wasn't even really so much for you. It was that I wanted you to tell everybody how great I was. And I think we've shared this before, but like from at the beginning of 2011, which the affair started and ended in 2011. But at the beginning of 2011, I had read that book, The Love Dare. Mm-hmm. And it's a challenge to do one random act of kindness every day. And I actually created a spreadsheet, which some people would go, oh, that's really sweet, but it's a little weird, to be real honest. But I created a spreadsheet where I was trying to do a random act of kindness for you every day. Some days it was small, some days it was a little bit bigger. It may be that I grabbed flowers on the way home, or, brought you your favorite candy bar or whatever. I took you on a date. I don't know. There was all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But I did that for actually several months in a row. I may have missed a day, maybe, somewhere along there. But it wasn't for you. I mean, maybe it was a little bit, but it was more of, I wanted you to recognize it. Like, I wanted you to tell me how great I was. And it was almost like if you didn't notice it, really made me mad, got my feelings hurt. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't tell somebody else how wonderful I was, oh, you should see what my husband did for me today, that kind of thing. And it wasn't because I wanted them. I just wanted everybody to think I was the best. Probably because that was insecurity on my part for something. Right. And, now, I don't really care. Like when I always do nice things for you. I'm a really good husband. So now I'm just telling the world myself. So
humble.
So now I'm just telling everybody myself. I don't even wait and let you go and tell them I have a podcast. Okay, totally kidding. But I don't care. And so when I do the things that I do, they are genuinely for you. And they're not for recognition mm-hmm. or for other people to see what I've done. So I think that's a big part of it, is just the motivation behind the selflessness is true. Yeah. But yeah, those are the things. And I mean, we learned through it, and I'm sure there'll be some follow-up questions and discussion that maybe center more around communication, because we realized how terrible we were at that. And I think that if you would have asked us, like, how are you guys with communication, we'd be like, we're fine, we're good, fine. We talk. Mm-hmm. But man, it was really bad. And now I mean, this is not a brag or anything, but we don't fight. We do have disagreements for sure, and there's conflict. But we didn't know how to handle it back then. And again, some of that was immaturity. But now we do. We know how to handle it. We know how to fight fair, if you want to call it fight. Mm-hmm. But it's really, we know how to handle conflict. And those, I think in the past, we could have a conflict and some sort of a fight that 4 days later, we were still mad about it. And now that just never happens. Yeah. We know how to take care of it, handle it, and move forward. Yeah. So, okay. Well, we went a little deeper with some questions that some of y'all may have never heard us discuss before. So we'll try to pull.
They definitely haven't, because we never knew to talk about it.
Right. But we've got some more that we can pull out of the hat and pull up for future episodes. So Stay tuned, and thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.